So in New York State, now we are dealing with a huge problem. There is a strike across there's different reports, 31 to 39 prisons in New York State. The corrections officers are on strike due to some dangerous conditions in these prisons. Here's some clips from the strikes that are happening right now.
People deserve dignity. These people deserve respect from the state that they work hard for every day. Amen. They deserve to go home safely to their families.
That was Nick Langworthy speaking at Collins Correctional Facility in New York State with these protests, these strikes happening right now. Hochul has done little to nothing to address this situation. She has only come out with a statement, which I'm going to show you in this next news clip, telling them to go back to work and stop this illegal action. She has failed to address the dangerous conditions in these prisons for the guards, even though Collins Correctional only a few days ago was overtaken. Part of it was overtaken by some of these prisoners that were in prisons.
Governor Hochul is set to deploy the New York National Guard to state prisons tomorrow if corrections officers continue work stoppages, like ones that we saw in Ogdensburg and Gouverneur today. In Gouverneur, workers called it a strike. Their vehicles lined Scotch Settlement Road, which leads to the prison there. Workers not covering their shifts, instead going public with their message, which also meant picketing in other areas of the village. State Senator Mark Walczyk supported the COs and had a message for the governor. More on that in a moment. In Ogdensburg, workers said that they were doing an informational picket to address prison working conditions. That's where we caught up with Assemblyman Scott Gray, who said meetings today in Albany to address CO concerns needed to produce answers, adding leaders need to address CO's concerns, which include unfair mandatory overtime, requiring body scans for visitors, and repealing the HALT Act. That's a new law from 2022, which limits the time an inmate can spend in segregated confinement. All things COs say affect their safety while behind prison walls.
It's not up to the unions. It's up to the commissioner and the governor to say, what do we need to be doing here to improve conditions, to get these people back to work, and to get them safe conditions to work in.
But here's how today's meeting ended. Governor Hochul telling corrections workers the illegal and unlawful actions need to stop now. And she's ready to deploy the New York National Guard to state prisons tomorrow if the unlawful work stoppage doesn't end, and disciplinary action against the union members will be taken if necessary, according to the governor.
Around here, we don't call her the governor, though. We call her the queen of the People's Republic of New York, which has turned into a dictatorship that's becoming dystopian. And we often wonder, how far is it going to have to get before it comes to an end, before the voters realize that we need change? I don't know what it's going to take. Here's a video of the National Guard, which has been deployed to go and try to cover some of the shifts at these prisons. So that was the National Guard in New York State responding to Collins Correctional Facility in New York, which has been a big focal point of the media and of politicians as they were leading the protests and the strikes in this dangerous situation at our prisons. And when I say dangerous, it was dangerous to the employees, to the corrections officers. It was dangerous to the people living around these areas because many of them are dependent upon these COs to be able to do their job. Staffing levels are at an all-time low. They cannot recruit people. They're making cuts, closing prisons. It's insanity here in New York State. As crime continues to climb, Kathy Hochul, the queen of the People's Republic of New York State, continues to make decisions that make living in New York more dangerous for the taxpayer and the citizen in this People's Republic. Now here's a statement that was made by Lee Zeldin, who's now the EPA commissioner for Donald Trump, but he was the former congressperson of New York State and also the candidate for governor in the last run against Kathy Hochul, which he came closer than any Republican had in the past to defeating a Democrat since it's been a long time, in at least 20 years.
There is a crime emergency right now in New York State. This governor is unwilling to call it for what it is. Many of her allies unwilling to call it for exactly what it is. And instead, the public is being lectured that they should just look away. Instead, the public is being told that they shouldn't even believe what they're seeing with their own eyes. With the videos and the pictures and the news reports day in and day out. They don't want to be told by elected officials to just look away. They want to be told from elected officials what they are going to do to solve it completely. We want boldness, we want courage, and that means that on day one, we will declare a crime emergency in the state of New York. And on top of suspending other laws that are pro-criminal, we are going to suspend the HALT Act January 1st here in the state of New York. I'm honored to accept the endorsement of a union made up of selfless, dedicated New Yorkers and patriots. They deserve total support, unapologetic help, unapologetic love from people in government. They deserve it at every level, and it especially starts at the top. There will be no doubt from the moment the next governor gets sworn in on January 1st, 2023, the New York City correction officers know that they again have a loyal, proud friend to have their back and to give them all the tools they need to go back to their home safely at night. So I thank Benny, I thank your board, I thank your members, for everyone who's here, and I encourage all the members of the media, when you take in the look on the face of the men and women who are here, you're all smart people. You could read their body language. They are desperate for people to have their backs. And they are not here on behalf of themselves. They are here on behalf of thousands of others who are demanding leadership, which can't happen soon enough.
So that was a statement made by Lee Zeldin when he was running for governor, but it seemed like he knew what was going to happen because the writing has been on the wall. Let's be honest. It's been pretty clear since the beginning of her cuts that the Democratic Party has been making. Cuomo started it. Kathy Hochul has continued to make cuts to these prisons. The writing was on the wall. We knew that this was about to happen, and she continued down this path. I don't know what it's going to take for unions to start to realize that the Democrats do not care about them. They are not the party of the working man. The Democrats are the party of the rich, the wealthy, and Hollywood mainly. We can tell because almost every actor and actress in Hollywood supports the Democratic Party. The working man needs to realize that the Democratic Party is not the group that is supporting them. So we need to stand up for these corrections officers. They are taking a big risk in potentially losing their jobs, losing at least 2 days' pay for every day that they're on strike due to the illegal Taylor law, which gives the state all the control in every negotiation that there is. The unions have no power here. This is not a debate about unions versus non-union. This is a debate about safety and whether the state has the working person in mind when they make decisions other than just their own pocketbooks and their own reelection interests. So another aspect of this prison strike is that New York State is forcing some of these corrections officers who were working at the time that the strike started to stay in the prisons. They're literally locking these corrections officers in the prison like they are prisoners. I know one of them personally, and I've heard that this is true. They've been there over 35 hours. There's a Facebook post going around right now. One of the spouses, I believe, of one of the prison guards, I'm just going to read it right through it pretty quickly. To the wives and husbands of my coworkers at Groveland, if you have not heard from your spouse after their shift, it is because the state gave them order to lock them inside the jail while even off duty. They're being forced to sleep in the gym while off duty rather than returning home with no end in sight at the present time. Most of these officers have been in there for more than 24 hours. No shower, no clean clothes, jail food, no contact with their family to notify them, yet they have committed no crime. They are being forced to work 12-hour shifts when it's not their time to sleep in the gym. The state seems to think they can imprison their own staff and force labor for their own staffing needs. This is where your loved ones are. Beep like this is why the state is striking. When we took this job, it was a family first job, but since COVID and more, so since HALT, this is the HALT Act he's referring to, went into place, this job has said blank to our families. I've seen so many coworkers commit suicide, get divorced, lose their families, dive into depression over these ridiculous circumstances. The officers and sergeants that stay only stay because they are so deep into the pension, worked hard for it and shouldn't have to give it up. Now with the lock-in order, the state is forcing parents who would play nice and do their jobs to come to make a choice, family or career. The choice is easy for me. My family will come first. My children will know their father values them over anything. If your loved ones are locked inside one of these jails, call the state police and report unlawful imprisonment. Call your state representatives. I normally don't get too involved in this stuff like this, but just do my job. But this lock-in order is my tipping point. F them. Hold the line. Coworkers, please tag anyone we know is locked in against their will so their families will know that they are alive and where they are located. Since I was off today, I only know Strong, Harvey, and Geisler for certain. So, like I said, this has been happening, and it's ridiculous.